Hey y'all, I wanted to do a quick video about a conversation that I have been having online. And the conversation is around, is your home an asset or a liability? So experts will tell you that until your home is completely paid off, it is a liability. If it is something that you are paying on monthly and that takes a large payment, it is not an asset. Assets are income producing or value producing items, and if you're paying instead of making, then your home cannot be an asset. That is what a lot of people say. Well, I get the very technical part of this. I beg to differ, and this is the conversation that I was having. So I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, I want to treat my home like an asset. I want to use my home to help me gain a better position, to build wealth, to leave a legacy. And so I thought that I would come here and give you 5 tips for how to use your home as an asset. Like anything else, being a homeowner is something that can go very well or very bad, depending on how you set yourself up to win. A lot of times we just hear people say, buy a home or invest in the stocks. And people say, that went horrible for me, it's not a good idea. Well, nothing is a good idea unless you have a real game plan for it. So these 5 tips are things that can help you create a real solid game plan and take your first home or your 5th home and really leverage it to move up as far as your net worth and as far as building wealth for your family. The first tip that I have is do not wait until you have a perfect credit score to purchase your home. We know that we all want to build the best credit that we can, but owning a home is a part of that journey to good credit. So I don't suggest having the worst credit score and going out and applying for a home, but I do suggest that you reach out to the place where you bank or you find a credit union and establish a relationship there and start talking to the bankers there about where you are with your credit. You should know, you should have the alerts on your credit cards and use the information that they use to monitor your credit journey and start having a conversation about where you are and where you should be when you apply for a home. When I applied for my home, I was 25, this was about 2012, and my credit score was in the 700s. But they did let me know that they'll lay it out for you and say, you know, if your score is 650, this is what we'd be able to offer you. If it's 700, if it's 750, and you're able to look and see the difference in the payments and see if it makes sense for you to wait or not. If you decide to wait, they'll give you tips for how to build your credit up a little quickly. They'll look at the different credit cards and the different accounts you have open, and they'll say, pay this off, rearrange this, and it'll get us where we need. So don't just sit at home and you know, be paralyzed, not moving, but start having the conversations. If you decide to wait and build your credit some more, make sure you stay in contact with those bankers so you can let them know the progress that you're making. I will also say that one thing for me, I was like, I could work to get a better credit score, but the rent that I will be paying now compared to the mortgage that I'll be paying, even if my credit isn't perfect, there's a big difference. So I decided I might as well purchase a home, start paying money towards something that I will actually own, and with consistent payments will build my credit versus still spending money and a place to live that isn't actually mine. The second tip that I have for you is to buy your home in a downturn. Now, most of the time that may not be very possible. If you were looking for a home in the last decade, buying while the market was seeing a downturn wasn't exactly something that you were able to do. But given where the current economy is, it may be the best time for you to buy a home. Now, of course, never purchase any item that you cannot afford. But if you're paying rent that is $2,000, $1,700, and you're able to buy a home that provides you ownership, possibly more space and more security with a mortgage of about $1,500 or $1,700, sounds like it makes sense to me. In a downturn, for people who can afford it, interest rates are a lot more feasible. I'm seeing people closing loans with 2.9, 3.2% interest rates, and 3.2 is kind of on the high end depending on what people are closing on. So it is very feasible. I'm also seeing people with credit scores in the 600s that are doing just fine and getting a really great interest rate. So now may be one of the best times in the last decade for you to purchase a home. Another thing about buying in a downturn is that you will be able to see the stock and the inventory in real estate that's available open up to you. So if you have not been able to get in, you have not been able to find a home, it has not been a buyer's market, it's been a seller's market, but now may be your time to shine. My third tip is work really hard to find a mortgage that is cheaper than your rent. And I mean, of course, you're like, duh, if I can do that, I'm absolutely gonna do that. And it depends on where you live. It's not always possible. But a downturn really does help us. Rent rates in a downturn do not always fall. Sometimes they rise. But the sale prices on homes and other properties do see slides in different markets across the country. So one thing that I would personally be doing, one thing that I did do with my home in 2012, I was paying about $900 in rent for a 2-bedroom apartment. And I was like, you know what? I want to find a home that is going to help me save money. And I actually found a home that my mortgage was about just under $700 for a lot more space. But here are a couple ways that you can find that cheaper home. One, look at foreclosures and short sales. So a foreclosure or a short sale is, you're dealing with a homeowner who is losing their home or who is trying to sell their home before they lose it. So it gets a little bit more complicated. Your realtor can help you find these deals and close these deals. You have to have more patience. So there's always a trade-off. My house was purchased around $73,000, but it took months to close my home. So I actually moved in with my parents for a couple months. I made the sacrifice. It was more than worth it. Another tip for buying a home that will have a cheaper mortgage than your rent is to find a home that may require a little bit of work. Now, I'm not saying that you have to buy a complete shack, but the home may need an extra coat of paint on the inside. You might need to change out those cabinets and countertops in the kitchen, and maybe a new toilet. The bones can still be good. So when I bought my house, the bones were great, but there were a few decorating tips that were needed. But that saved me probably about $30,000 to $40,000, if not more, on my home. I'm willing to do that. I can choose the guys that I want to choose to do the work. I'm probably going to get the labor at a cheaper rate. And it was nothing that had to be done at the moment. The house was clean, the house was secure. There was just a little decor that may not have been my favorite. Choosing a home that is completely perfect and completely brand new when you purchase it is going to put you at the top of the market. You're not going to get a bargain on one of those homes, more than likely. So find a home that may need a little bit of elbow grease, and it'll take you a long way. Another tip for that is that you may not be living in the perfect gated community. So I'm really talking to my first-time home buyers here. The gated community may not be your first stop. But this home and the investment that you make here will get you to the gated community soon. So just keep that in mind. Unless you're not looking to, really leverage this property, you're looking for a place that you're gonna stay for a few decades, hey, then splurge and go for the gold. A lesson that I learned growing up was that you always want to be a day early and a dollar more. So when you're paying your mortgage, and all of your bills, to be completely honest, if you can. Hey, I'm not bashing the people who are not able to do this, but we're going to assume that we are all paying our bills at least on time whenever we can. A hack to really increase your credit score quicker and your mortgage will take you a far way with this is to pay a day early and at least $1 more. after a long period of time of doing this, the creditors aren't looking up every month and just saying, oh, she's paying on the 31st instead of the 1st. She's paying $1,001 versus $1,000. All they know is that you pay your bills early and you overpay. That is what the report says at the end of the day. And that will do wonders for your credit score. Also, same thing for your phone bill, for your light, for your water. So if you can, it is always great to pay a day early and $1 more. Now that's the bare minimum. One thing that you have to know about mortgages and just how compound interest works in general is that in the beginning of a contract, or you have this $70,000 mortgage, the first couple of years of that, you want to pay extra as much as possible to pay down that interest on your mortgage. So anything that you can throw at that payment will work. I mean, if you can throw an extra $500 a month, that's amazing. And some people make sure they get a home that they can afford so that they can double their mortgage payment for the first couple of years. But if you don't have that much, $30, $40 goes a long way. So when I bought my house, I was 25. I was a single mom. I didn't have a lot of extra money, but every month I would pay between $30 and $60 more on my mortgage. I didn't feel like it was doing much. Well, 5 years in, what I found out is that I had cut about 7 to 8 years off of my interest rate, off of what I would have paid in interest over the life of my mortgage just from doing that. So just know every little bit counts, and you're really building wealth in that way, because what happened is I bought my home in a downturn. So a $70,000 home, really the people before me bought it for $130,000. So, my financial advisor tells me that cost and worth is only realized when you're buying something or you're selling something. So my value in this home is only realized the day that I buy it and the day that I sell it, technically. So I bought a $70,000 house, but we knew that the value, once the market recovered, would increase with the market. So 5 years in, when the market was returning, 5 to 6 years in, the house that I bought for $70,000 then became worth $150,000, $160,000. And because I was paying down my mortgage extra by paying extra over those first couple of years, now I only owed, I think when we went back and looked, I owed like $30,000 on the mortgage. And so, don't quote me on that, it was somewhere in there. But so now look at how much worth I had if I wanted to pull equity and pull money from that mortgage. So I may not have had $20,000 sitting in the bank, but I could absolutely pull $20,000 from my mortgage if I needed to. I could use that money to purchase investment real estate, which I did. I purchased a mixed-use building. I could use that money to purchase to improve my home, which I did. I pulled some money to replace my roof, to completely redo my bathroom, to lay a new driveway and walkway, and also to completely redo my kitchen. Now, those things that I was doing were only increasing the value of my home. Now, mind you, I only pulled $40,000. So money can go a long way, and it's your money. It's the value that's in your home. These are tools that you can use to continue to build your wealth. So now we have a building that I will be renovating this summer that will have housing units and a business in the ground floor, and they will continue to make money. I would have never been able to pay the cash out of my pocket at that time to purchase that building on my own, or to pay for the improvements here that just make this place a more enjoyable place to live. The last tip that I have for how to leverage your home to help build your wealth is to really plan for the future. So when I was looking for a home, I looked in a lot of different neighborhoods, and I did look in some upper class neighborhoods. But what I knew was that I wanted to live in this home for about 5 years. We'll actually be coming up on 7 years, and I'll probably leave in 8. But at the time, I thought I wanted to be here for 5 years. So what I said after that is, I always knew that I wanted to be a landlord. I wanted to have rental properties. So I wanted to make my first home what I thought would be my first rental property. So I looked in a neighborhood that had families, that had a lot of owners, but had some renters as well. I made sure that I didn't live where there was a homeowners association that could regulate how I rent my property. I made sure it wasn't a gated community that might have rules and regulations against it. But I found a place where it would be easy for me to attract a renter at a good, stable price, for more than what my mortgage would be. And I really looked ahead at that, as well as I wanted families, I wanted people who looked like me for my daughter who was young at the time. So these are all things that I kept in mind. These are things that you should be keeping in mind. What is your plan? How long do you want to stay in this home? And what do you want to do with the home afterwards? Are you looking to sell, where you want to be in a place where housing prices are stable and you'll be able to get your money out? Or do you want to be able to rent? What we know about neighborhoods that are more rent friendly is that you may pay less and you can still get a higher amount for that monthly rent. And decide, how do you want to rent? Do you want to have Section 8 renters? Do you want just working families or doctors and nurses who are renting? And then you want to position your property, purchase a property that's positioned in neighborhoods that are attracting those type of people. So these are some tips that I have for you. 5 easy tips to think about and to implement when you're purchasing your first home or your 5th home, and thinking about how you want to leverage it for wealth. Thank you guys. Please, please, please hit the subscribe button. Please comment below if there's something that I didn't fully explain or something that you have questions about. Please comment below and I will be sure to answer. And please also turn on your notifications. We will have more videos coming soon, and I want to hear if this is the type of stuff that you want to talk about. All right, guys, thanks.